Hey, Treasure fans, yo pal, Big D and Cobb back here again with another movie review. And this one is for the 2009 remake of Star Trek, the first movie. This one, of course, stars Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Zoe Saldana, John Cho, Anton Yelton, rest in peace, and Karl Urban. Like I said, with film in 2009. This is the J.J. Abrams spinoff. So the way this movie is handled is there's two universes of Star Trek. There's the original timeline, and there's the J.J. Abrams timeline. So they kind of split them up. So in this movie, it kind of, because of the events of this movie, it changed things. So they went with this to kind of, it's kind of a reignition of Star Trek going a different direction. And they kept Gene Roddenberry's same principles. They kept the same things going, but they just changed the actors and changed the situations up a little bit. Made it a little more action-oriented rather than more dramatic. So, like I said, this movie was done in 2009. This was a big deal when it came out. A lot of people thought that after Star Trek Nemesis, which is the Next Generation's last movie, a lot of people thought that was it. Star Trek after Nemesis kind of died out for a while. They still had a couple TV shows running. There was still Enterprise that was running. But after Enterprise, it all died out. There wasn't really anything for a while. And then with this announcement, obviously this movie came out. They did 3 of these movies, and we obviously got new series like Discovery and Picard, and obviously Lower Decks. We've got a couple more shows coming out in the future. So this was kind of the springboard. This movie kind of re-energized a lot of people with Star Trek again. It kind of introduced a lot of new people into the movie. But essentially this time what we have is, and the differences in the timelines is, the biggest difference is in this newer timeline, Kirk didn't grow up with his father. No. His father died at the beginning of the movie in a very dramatic scene. A big Romulan ship comes through. He's the helm? He's the first officer of the ship of the Kelvin. The captain is killed. He's put in command, and he sacrifices his life to save not only his newborn son, was being born at the same time this is all going on, but to save everybody else in the crew. So Kirk in this timeline grows up without a father, whereas in the original timeline, his father did. His father saw him graduate from Starfleet Academy. His father saw him get his first command, the Enterprise. His father saw a lot of things that he didn't see in this movie. So Kirk is a different path. So subsequently, the same thing happens to Spock. His path is a bit different because of events that happen, and pretty much all the characters have a little bit different events because of things. So as they all meet up together, we see them in Starfleet. You know, they go out on their first mission to fight Nero, who's the main bad guy in the movie, who wants to destroy Romulus. After the Next Generation was over with, the timeline was going straight, and then Romulus was destroyed. Spock didn't get there in time to save it, so Nero went back in time to try to
save it.
Not just to save it, but to take out Vulcan so this stuff would never happen. So that's the reason why the timeline changed. But really well done movie. The cast they got was incredible. Zachary Quinto looks like Leonard Nimoy. It's scary. I actually went to a convention right after they had said they were going to do another movie, and Leonard Nimoy was at the convention. He brought Zachary Quinto with him. Seeing them both on stage at the same time was amazing because it looked like a father and son. I mean, very, very unbelievable how much they looked like. And Zachary Quinto really picked up his mannerisms, so he did a really good job. Actually, every person who was cast as an original series member did an amazing job. Karl Urban did a really good job as Dr. McCoy. I mean, everybody. Zoe Saldana was amazing as Lieutenant Uhura. All of them. I tell you what, when they first announced this movie, well, I also forgot Simon Pegg as Scotty. When they first did this movie, the only ones I was excited about was I knew Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto. I liked those two actors already and I thought they would do a good job. And Karl Urban, because I love Karl Urban from Dread and from a bunch of other movies he's been in over the years. I think he was in Priest. And he was in a bunch of stuff. So, but I was a little bit Anton Yelton and John Cho, which John Cho, the only thing I remembered him from was Harold and Kumar movies. So I was a little bit apprehensive about this. I wasn't too happy about it. I'm an original series, look, it even says he's dead, Jim. I'm an original series purist, so this to me bothered me. But once I sat down and actually started to watch the movie, I really ended up enjoying it. I really thought it was a really good movie. I thought it was a great homage to the original series. I thought they kept up the integrity for the most part for what's Gene Roddenberry's original creation. You know, it's still that wagon train to the stars. You know, they're still going out there. They're still doing their stuff. They've got their ship. It's just a really fun, good, fun movie. It has changed. I grew up with the original series. That's what I grew up. That's what I did. I mean, I wasn't alive when it first premiered. It wasn't until I was like 3 or 4 before I finally discovered it. But I think it did a really good job for what it is. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of complaints about the movie because everybody says it steered away from original Star Trek and they did so many things differently. But what I like about it is Star Trek has to adapt with the times.
Yeah.
We're not in the 60s anymore. We're not in the 70s anymore. We're in the 2020s now. So it has to develop with the times, you know. And I think even Gene Roddenberry realized that because when he did Next Generation is quite a, even they follow the same premise, but it's quite a bit different than the original series. Original series was very much just one episode and done, one episode and done, one episode and done. They never really went back. With except for the Menagerie, they never really went back to anything again. Where the Next Generation would go back quite a bit, and they would have these overlong story arcs, you know, that went on for several seasons. They kept bringing back characters all the time. You know, so it was, he knew it needed to adapt and change with the times as well. So it's just a natural progression for this. I really enjoyed it. Some of my favorite scenes in the movie, seeing the Enterprise for the first time, the big battle, the beginning, when the Enterprise comes to that dust cloud, to was it the moon's rings or whatever, the Saturn's rings, and it comes up out of that dust. Just absolutely amazing, awesome. But my favorite part was seeing Leonard Nimoy. That was such a treat to see that. To see him being brought over to this series to kind of connect it all, what I liked the most about it. What do you think?
It was a pretty good movie. I liked all the action in it because always when I'm trying to watch the Star Trek episode, I always hope for action in the movies because it's just so fun to watch because all the ships are just firing at each other and there's so many. But I watched it. I watched it with my mom, dad, and my sister. My mom's fan of the newer ones because she just thinks they're so good because she loves the cast. She I don't know, she
well, his dad, who is my brother, I know he knows a lot more about the original series because when he was a kid, he got stuck watching it all the time because I'd watch it.
Yeah.
And he knows Next Generation really well. As a matter of fact, my brother was a big fan of the Next Generation. He really was a big fan of it. He wouldn't miss an episode. He'd watched most of the episodes with me. So his dad was pretty well into it. But, you know, this kind of whole experience where Cobb here is kind of brought himself into Star Trek and tried to see more about Star Trek and learn more about Star Trek. It's kind of drawn his whole family into it. Yeah. You know, because they're watching movies now. His dad's watching episodes with him and stuff like that. So it's really neat to see that. For me, it's awesome. But, you know, just a really good fun, all-around movie, well filmed. Cinematography was great. If I had one issue with it, the lens flares. That gets annoying after time. And most people will comment on that too. You remember the movie where the light would hit and it'd always be bright and shiny and stuff like that? They call them lens flares. And those drove me nuts after a while because it's kind of like just sometimes you're like, hey, move the lens flare out of the way. I want to watch the show here, you know? Yeah. And they did tone that down in the further movies, but just a fun, wild ride I'm really bummed that I know there's a fourth movie somewhat in the works. There's a couple different people working on it. Quentin Tarantino's working on a version. There's another guy working on another version. So it's kind of in hiatus right now. But what Star Trek's always done really good is go to TV. And obviously TV, you've got current running shows, which is what we got, Discovery, Picard, and Lower Decks. We do have Strange New Worlds coming out next year. We've also got the section... The one with, I don't know how they're going to get Giorgio back into this time frame, but there's Section 31 show coming out.
Wait, Strange New Worlds is going to have Enterprise F?
Oh. Original Enterprise. It's Captain Pike. The whole series is about Captain Pike and about Spock when he was a junior officer.
When are they going to bring in Enterprise F?
If they ever do a show, because if they ever do a show past Next Generation, maybe, but right now there's nothing on tap for it. They're kind of just staying within this one universe, this kind of smaller area of the timeline, you know. They're not kind of expanding too much up. I mean, Picard is, because Picard's after Next Generation, and actually Picard's after Voyager, after Deep Space Nine. That's after all that stuff's happened. So we'll have to wait and see. But they do have a lot of plans for a lot more things because it's doing really well for them. So, but that's about it for our review. Have anything else you want to say? I'm going to be biased here, so I'm not going to do my Red Vine scale, but if you're going to do a scale 1 to 10, what would you give it?
An 8.
An 8? Good score. Good score. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Leave us some comments down below what you thought of the movie. Did you like the movie? Or I know there's people that don't, but give us your thoughts. Like, subscribe, the bell. You know those whole things. We want to thank you so much for watching this video. Be on the lookout. We are going to do a review later this week for the original series because Jacob just finished watching the original series. So be on the lookout for that. Everybody take care. Always keep hunting. And live long and prosper.